right, stop having fun. It's time for me to make some announcements. Thanks, Joseph. Excuse me, ma'am, my wife. It's time for you to get to your seat. Thank you. All right, hey, happy National Thrive Day, everybody. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Hey, I got two quick announcements. The first one, Pastor Kellen instructed me to get up here and tell you about the youth sports outreach meeting that he is going to host on February 6th after the 11 o'clock service. So if you are looking for an opportunity to utilize your time with your kids' sports and what we're involved in so much of that, if you want to get equipped and get encouraged to use that time to make it gospel-centered, share the gospel, and point people to our church and to Christ, definitely attend this meeting. Make sure you sign up for it. Pastor Kellen's going to help kind of encourage us and equip us to do that. So I think this is a cool opportunity for all of us who are going to be at our kids' sporting events, or we're coaching or refereeing or whatever it may be. So I want to make sure you all put that on your calendar. So that's going to be a week from this Sunday. Sign up for that. You can scan the QR code. You go to the website. Do whatever you need to do. Okay? That's the first one. Second one. We got a Thrive Valentine's party coming up, people. It's happening. That's right. So this year, we're giving you a heads up. In fact, Jesse Hansen, where you at? There you are. You're going to like this one. We're decorating tables. So we're decorating tables. Okay, so you got a little bit of a heads up here coming up. You can make your table the best table we've ever seen. You can make it look exactly like it looks like right now. It's going to be great. I prefer the latter. But some prefer the former. So if you want to go crazy your table, go for it, but just be prepared for that. We're going to have a photo booth set up. It's going to be great. If you want to dress up, go for it. You want to wear a tuxedo t-shirt? Go for it. You want to dress? I'm going to dress exactly like I'm dressed right now. That's what I'm going to do. You can dress however you want. You want a tuxedo, top hat? Go for it. But it's going to be fun. So Valentine's special night we'll have here. Same Thrive time, same Thrive channel. So a Thrive Valentine's party will be coming up. So that's in 2 weeks. So mark your calendars. You're going to be here anyway. So you're really just making a note to decorate your table or dress super nice or the exact same. Okay, we're doing something a little bit different tonight, as is evidenced by the chairs. I'm going to have my friends Pastor Mark and Garrett come up here. You know them, yeah. That's right. Couple smattering of applause.
I have something to add to the Valentine's thing.
Add to the Valentine's party.
We're doing dinner with no kids at Valentine's Day.
No kids.
Yes. So feed your kids before you show up to Valentine's Day in 2 weeks. Yeah.
Wow, I missed the most important part of the announcement.
So there's going to be a lot less rice on the ground and a lot more food in people. Yeah. So that's going to happen. So just come prepared for that. We can sit down. One more announcement while I'm just jumping in on your announcements. We have reinstituted the Thrive name tag thing. Have you noticed that?
Yep.
It's back by
I didn't
popular
catch that.
demand.
I don't have.
Yeah, my name is Compass Bible Institute.
Yeah, well, that's fine.
Yeah.
Someone called me out for operating with a double standard because I was telling them to put a name tag on, and they were like, "Where's yours?" And I was like, I don't think I have one, so I made one for myself.
Doesn't everybody know who you are, though?
I don't know.
I mean, come on.
I don't know. Just Mark on there, though.
I don't. I just wrote. I was kind of in a hurry, so I wrote Mark, but that is my name, so that's what I did. So, but anyway, it's good. We're bringing back the name tag thing. It's a good thing. We want to know who everybody is, and you probably know who people are in your group, but there's a lot of groups here, and so when we mingle and when there's a fight over the last item on the Thrive dessert bar, it's good to know who to go talk to your table about. Yeah.
So you're here for a special night. We're about to sing, so get ready.
Yeah.
The three of us are going to sing. I'll come in.
Well, actually, we decided to kind of talk about the sermon together for a few minutes before you go off to your groups, just to change it up a little bit. This was a great sermon this last weekend. Let's put the 3 points from the sermon up on the screen. You'll remember that Pastor Mike continuing on this Acts chapter 13 series, really talking about how to be useful to the Lord, how to serve the Lord, and a couple of ways for us to do that. Point number one is to live like Christ's ambassador. And then point number two, to be ready to talk Bible. And point number three, never give in. And there's just a lot of helpful, challenging components to this, especially it pertains to being Christ's ambassador wherever you are, in your workplace, in your neighborhood, in your sports teams, and especially in your home. So we want to talk about that. Let's talk about talking Bible in our homes and really try to apply this sermon in the context of our marriages, our families at this stage of life. And I think it was in the intro that Pastor Mike was talking about our church plants. And he was like, when our people go on our church plants, they're on mission, they're fired up, they go there for this purpose. And you, Brandon, just so happened to be at one of our church plants while he was giving that sermon, right? Yep. So tell us a little bit about what it was like in Hill Country.
Yeah, so Christy and my two kids and I, we went down to our church plant in New Braunfels, Texas this past week. In fact, I missed Thrive last week, unfortunately. But if I'm going to miss Thrive, it's because I'm going to be at a church plant. So we went down there, which was great. We got to see Pastor Hayden and Kayla. There's so much good stuff is happening down there. It was really neat to go see. So real quick, so I flew down in September when we officially launched the church, when we had our first service, all those kind of things. And it was really cool to be there. And I told this story when I got back, and I got to tell it now because it kind of comes full circle. But so in September, I was there, flew down, gonna get some. We played a video here the following weekend. Got some footage. And so Compass Bible Church Hill Country is starting. They're meeting in this tiny little Christian youth theater because they're waiting on their building to get finished up. Just this tiny little area, and it's kind of chaotic and crazy. And you got this first service, and I'm seeing all these familiar faces and many people who were in Thrive not too long ago that are now living in Texas, and they uprooted their families and they moved away. And so probably 30 minutes before a service starts, one of the TVs breaks. So they have two TVs kind of set up for Pastor Hayden. He's going to be preaching, and the points are going to come up just like we do here. If one of these broke, we'd have a huge problem. Their big problem is one of their TVs broke. It's right there next to the pulpit.
Opening Sunday.
Very first service.
Not good.
30 minutes before it started. So there is a gentleman. His name's Eric. He's an Attapat guy. He's a church planner. He actually moved from our Compass Bible Church Huntington Beach plant and went to Texas. So he went on two plants. So he's a planner. So he literally, this guy's all in. He is so out of pat. He runs to his car. We're 30 minutes before service started. He drives to Walmart. That's like 10 minutes away. He buys a gigantic TV. It won't fit in his car, so he takes it out of the box. He's jamming it in the hatchback. No box. He leaves the box in the parking lot, zooms. I think he paid for the TV.
Did he get the warranty? That's my
sure.
question. Did he get the warranty?
He may have stolen a TV. However, he's out of pat. No, he bought the TV. And he brings it back, and he's setting it up, and he's working with Ron Chen, who was a Thrive leader, for many years here, who now does all of the tech for them and handles and so much there. And they're setting it up, and service is about to start. It's crazy, and they get it all set up, and it's like 2 minutes to spare. Well, announcement starts, worship is going, and as that's beginning, we look over and the TV is set to store mode. So little ads keep popping up on it, and it's like Roku TV, and it's like who knows what's about to pop up. So Eric, this guy, good, very out of pat, he literally sat through the entire first service at Compass Bible Church Hill Country with the remote in his hand, pressing the button every single time stuff popped on the screen. So he's just sitting over there for an hour and a half. He's just and it was every 30 seconds. So he pressed it and do the math a lot. So I came back from that in September there was a lot more I could point to of being, amazing things you saw. But I'm that is Attapat. That is somebody who is all in. They're going to do whatever they need to do to help, further the gospel and just be there to pour themselves out to help out. So then fast forward now to, January 2022, and they've been meeting now for 3 or 4 months. And they had after their launch weekend, they had their very biggest weekend ever since then, this past weekend. And that was after about a month or so of, COVID and sickness and everything where attendance was affected. They had their biggest ever. And those same people are still there, setting up and tearing down, and familiar Thrive faces. Jacob Brandeke, who was a Thrive member in the what is now the Concharlas group, he bought a giant trailer to keep all the chairs, all the stuff. And it's just, you go there and you come back, and I know Christy, my wife, would feel the same way. You see these planters, and we come back to an established church. Praise God, we have a building, we have all this space, we have multiple places to meet, and I just, you hear a sermon like Pastor Mike's, and we want to be planters here. We don't want to be settlers, right? We want to be people that we are willing to go the extra mile, spend the extra dollar, spend that extra amount of time with people, just like our church planters are doing. And so it's super encouraging to see that, because you see what's being talked about here and what's going on this campus spreading out to Huntington Beach and Tustin and Idaho. Even going up there and seeing what goes on up there. Now, Texas, and then next month we're going to announce the next church plant. And so it just keeps going on and on and on. So just really, really encouraging.
Yeah, and when you go on a church plant like that, you are positioned to be focused on your goal, on your mission. It's the reason people moved to Hill Country was to be part of this plant, right? So their purpose for living in that town and for relocating out there, it was very clear in their minds and remains clear, hopefully, now months later. And so I think Pastor Mike gave that as an example of just to help us try to position ourselves accordingly. And we're not going to pick up and relocate to a new place necessarily, but we still need to be on that same kind of focused mission. And so I think that's a really helpful perspective. And it was really cool timing that you just so happened to be there this last weekend. So
Yeah, and it's neat for those of us have been called here to be ambassadors and to see, because we've been in Thrive for like 100 years now, and seeing a couple of church plants go and take off, it leaves holes obviously here for leadership and things like that, but it also gives us an opportunity to step into those roles when normally we wouldn't think about that. But as a friend leaves to go be ADAPAT in another state, it gives us a chance to be ADAPAT here as well.
totally. You mentioned the Chens. You mentioned Ron Chen.
Yeah.
And it's like Ron and Jung Ni, they were Thrive leaders.
leaders, yeah.
And they picked up and they moved across the country, and we were down a Thrive leader couple. And so there was a space there for a new set of Thrive leaders to step in, and we're thankful that they did. And that kind of turnaround happens. It creates holes, it creates gaps in our ministries and in our ministry posts that need to be filled by people to step up and to volunteer to do more and to maybe do something that they wouldn't have otherwise done had the space right next to them not opened up.
Right, and a lot of people don't think about, well, I gotta, to serve, I really need to go across country or, to Africa or something like that. And there's so many opportunities here to serve that we just gotta look around and jump in when we see the opportunity.
So those are some of the opportunities just in our church to live like Christ's ambassador, to serve in formal ministry posts and informal ministry capacities. Let's take the conversation a little bit into our homes and think about how we can be an ambassador in our homes in the posts that we have as husbands, fathers, wives, mothers, represented here in this room. So I'm just looking at point number 2. Be ready to talk Bible. That's a good point. We should think about that, talk about that in our groups a little bit. But I know you both, Brandon, Garrett, to be dads who you do talk Bible in your home. And I know that to be true of you guys. But I also happen to know that that was not always true.
Correct.
Of you. You were not always dads who talked Bible. So tell me a little bit about how did you get from where you were then to where you are now? What was that process of growth like for you to become husbands and fathers who do talk about the Bible in your home?
Yeah, we were kind of reminiscing a little bit earlier about this, about how, for my wife and I, when we moved to California in early 2015, we were not Christians, and we've shared our testimony before talking about getting invited to Compass Bible Church by Tina and Derek Walton. Thank you. Just to see how different we were. The very first time we ever came to Compass Bible Church, we walked through those doors over here with our 3-year-old son, and we said, if he's not happy here, we're out. He was in charge, right? We had that mindset. If he's upset or if he's crying or whatever it may be, because at that point in our life, it was like, make sure the kids are happy, make sure the kids are happy. They're 3 and they're 5. Oh man, our lives would be miserable if they're not happy. Praise God, he had a great time. We came back. Honestly, had he not had a great time, we probably would not have. And so to think about that to now, where the Bible was not central in our house, we were the focal point. We were making those rules. We were the ones who were kind of dictating what was that moral compass internally for us. To now to have that same boy is 9 and our daughter is 12 and we're in middle school and she's going to be going to revival later this summer. To look at that now, praise God. Thank you, God, that we have the Bible as the focal point in our house, because now when we encounter different challenges or different things that pop up in our lives, we look at it from the lens through the Bible, right? So we've already had, our daughter starts 6th grade, public school. Things have happened. Things have been said. We've heard of drama there, and we look at it from the perspective of what do we need to do to be as Christ-like as possible in these situations? And so it really just complete 180 for us, and I'm very thankful that we're able to do that. And for us, it's not super complicated. It's doing Bible survey for kids that Pastor Mike created, and you can pick up in the bookstore, or it's being diligent with prayers, or analyzing the day at the end of the day from a Christian perspective. And so we're very thankful that happened. I go on about that.
Yeah, for us, we were. Our daughter was born, and she was about 2, because I've been a Christian for about 10 years. And we didn't talk Bible at all. Church was something that we just did because we felt obligated to do it, and we didn't even do that well. I mean, it was hit and miss at best. So there was little to no Bible discussion before we got saved. And then to talk Bible, you got to learn Bible, right? So that was the biggest learning curve for me. Growing up, I went to church, but definitely did not pay attention. Some stuff stuck, but learning and, with Jamie and everything coming alongside and working together to learn the Bible was really, really key. And then teaching the kids. Now, our oldest is 12 and our youngest is 5. So obviously the teaching part of it is different, but I love real life situations. There's a great book called Sticky Situations, and it goes through biblical responses to real life situations. And that's a fantastic book. And you can go and, research further, pull out verses and things like that. So those are one of the tools that we used. But for us, it's not only learning and talking Bible, but you got to be living Bible too, because our kids can sniff out a fake real quick. So if we're just talking the talk and we're not walking the walk, or if we act one way at church and another way at home, our kids are going to be, you guys are hypocrites. So definitely want to walk the walk, talk the talk, and just open the pages of the Bible to the kids and let it come alive for them.
That's great. So the first thing you said was learn Bible. And so let's talk a little bit more about that. I think that's a good thing. I mean, hopefully, in your groups, you talk about passages, talk about applying the sermon from the weekend, cross-reference, and hopefully, Thrive. This is a piece of your week where it's helping you learn Bible, but you also ought to be doing our daily Bible reading every day. I mean, I think I share this a lot in Thrive. Bethany and I, our regular routine is to wake up in the morning and we sit there and sip coffee while we listen to the DBR together. And that's 15 minutes of, pretty consistent morning time together. And so we listen to the Bible. And then when I do family devotions with my kids, I just pick one verse out of the 3 or 4 chapters that I read that day. And I just read that verse. I ask questions. What does this mean? So you talk about learn Bible. The reason I share that example is I don't think what we're suggesting here is you need to master the 66 books of the Bible, then start talking Bible with your kids once you're an expert. Rather, you can actually become knowledgeable in 1 or 2 or 3 chapters and then talk about one verse out of those 3 chapters and just stay one step ahead of the hounds, So that's what we do. We talk about a verse out of what we read and really try to bring it home for the kids.
Yeah, and Pastor Mike talked about taking, what are the next 2 steps that you can take, not the next 500 steps. And that's what it's encouraging to see other leaders coming up through Thrive that were inspiring to me to be like, wow, that's a really godly Christian man. That's something there where I want to be, but it didn't happen overnight, obviously. So it is a journey, but I think as men, we need to lead that journey and say, hey, that's where we want to go spiritually, and then, say, all right, come on, honey, we're going and we're doing this, and lead the charge in that way. And that's what was really changed for our relationship, was because leadership before we were saved was up for grabs. Jamie wanted the leadership, I wanted the leadership, and so it was this battle. And once we figured out, and it's like, all right, I'm leading spiritually, I'm leading the home, I'm responsible for my wife's spiritual growth, that changed everything.
Yeah, I mean, we have a similar testimony where we needed to learn, we needed to grow into the God-designed roles for husband and wife. And that our relationship didn't just fall into place perfectly. We had to work to structure our relationship and work together as husband and wife to have our relationship reflect what you're describing, where I'm leading spiritually in the home and I'm loving my wife as Christ loved the church, and we had to grow in that way, and I'm glad that we did. So. Yeah, there was another thing that you mentioned too, Garrett. You said study the Bible, or learn the Bible.
Learn
Yeah, that was point number one. Yeah, yeah. And then point number two was something about like sticky situations. And I wanted to circle back to that because that is a good book. If you don't have it, you've got young kids, that's a great book. We have that as well. I think volume 1 and volume 2.
Ooh.
And the kids, the kids are like, anyone can read one of these chapters and lead this discussion. And so it's like, hey, Sally goes to school and her aunt gave her a $50 bill that day. She wants to bring her $50 bill to school to show her friends. Her mom says, don't. She brings it anyway. She loses her $50 bill. She gets home that day. What should she do? A, not tell her mom anything. B, make up a story. C, be honest. Tell her mom, whatever, something like that.
And get a job.
Yeah.
Get a job.
So the kids are like, it's obviously C. And then...
And they all know the answer.
They
That's
know
what's
the
funny.
answer.
They know the
Obvious,
answer.
yeah.
And then seconds later, they fall into the trap, the sticky situation trap, where they go and they do exactly A, B, or D. And it's just like, you guys, we just talked about this. So anyway, I did want to recommend that book. I think it's helpful. I think it's good, real practical situations. And, you guys could order that right now. We have it at compassbooks.org. I think Amazon, and you can check that out.
And I'd say, too, on the last point, never give in. There's going to be ebbs and flows in our walk in times where it's tougher. And I think Pastor Mike touched on that a little bit. But just never give in. You always have to, it's constantly moving forward and growing. And that's the great thing about having a spouse that will support you in that and love you through that and be there for you. It's just so encouraging to see. And then for us to come together, all these families come together doing life together, that's just more and more encouragement that we get. And that's why I feel like Thrive is so important, because this is such a hard stage of life with kids and sicknesses and all that. It's just so important to come here and have this community.
That's right. No, that's huge. And you talk about never giving in, there was that sense of compromise, of giving up. And we need not only the support of a spouse and that relationship to be strong and growing and dynamic, and we also need a church family, and we need a small group, and we need other people who know us. So if you stop going to church tomorrow, hopefully your spouse is upset about that, but so is your entire small group. We're not going to let you off the hook. Your small group's going to come after you. We care about you. And your ministry is going to come after you. We care about you. So we need the team element of this family that's here to really help each other, come alongside each other, link arms, and keep pressing on.
Yeah, we got to keep an eye out for each other, right? You see somebody, you're walking through the muck, and you see somebody fall behind, stop and grab them and pull them along. So I think we all need to always be looking for those people who, hey, I haven't seen you in a couple weeks, and it's not shame on you. It's, hey, what's up? How can I help you? What can we do to kind of help get you back either connected or back in the flow of what we're doing here, those kind of things. So keep an eye on that, especially now more than ever with different sicknesses and all kinds of stuff going on.
That's right. Well, there's a lot of good stuff for you to talk about. We came up with an extra question for you. Can we put that up on the screen? The extra question is, I can't really read that far. So Pastor Mike, at the end of the sermon, he said, I was thinking about this question.